In state matters, California must pass a finalized budget by June 15th.
That's right, and negotiations are well underway with Governor Gavin Newsom, the legislature, and advocates.
Yeah, county leaders are meeting with state lawmakers just this week, asking for more money for social services. It comes in response to billions of dollars in possible federal funding cuts.
ABC 10's State Matters political reporter Jenny Hudd talked with advocates today and joins us now with details on their demands. Jenny.
Well, these county leaders tell me the federal funding cuts due to the so-called Big Beautiful Bill are not red or blue issues, but rather real threats. They argue the governor's response so far has not matched the urgency or magnitude of what they say is coming.
Counties cannot and should not be expected to absorb the impact of H.R. 1 alone.
H.R. 1, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill, sets new eligibility requirements and thus funding cuts for federal safety net programs.
H.R. 1 shifts billions of dollars in federal costs to counties without eliminating any mandated requirements.
New federal eligibility requirements for Medi-Cal include work requirements and twice-a-year renewals. All things county workers must check, meaning more work and money at the local level.
More frequent eligibility checks are not about accountability. They will simply push eligible working families off health care and nutrition programs simply because county systems and staffing are already overwhelmed.
And when people lose health care coverage like Medi-Cal,
counties are legally and morally required to provide care of last resort, what we call indigent care.
These county leaders argue this is all part of the $9.5 billion in yearly costs to counties H.R. 1 will likely bring.
And we are asking for a fraction of that. $1.1 billion in the upcoming budget deal and $2.5 billion in the next fiscal year.
That's the additional state funding counties are asking for to help with increased workload with Medi-Cal and CalFresh food assistance. Counties say Newsom only allocates $87 million in additional funding for 2026 to 2027, then nothing for the following years. Newsom's Department of Finance confirms those numbers, but notes because of the new state money included in his revised budget, the federal government matched that contribution, meaning more money for counties overall. They say no money has been set aside for the out years because they're unsure how H.R. 1 will play out.
So there are additional resources that are being provided, but we are not in a position, unfortunately, to be able to make a dollar-for-dollar match.
Additional resources as in a new sales tax starting next year on digital software and software-as-a-service programs like Microsoft Office and Slack.
I think it's very meaningful in terms of new revenue. And to the extent that this will require them to do things differently in the next few years, Trump administration, we all are.
But the California Association of Counties warns only a small fraction of that could be used to offset H.R. 1 costs.
Is there room for negotiation, or are you essentially saying beyond what is proposed in the May revise for counties and cities and local government, the state's hands are essentially tied?
There's always going to be negotiation at the end of a budget process.
The governor's latest budget is $350 billion, the largest in state history, and it eliminates a deficit for the next 2 years, according to Newsom. Chris, Laura.
Okay.